Good morning, Chicago. Welcome. It's week number 2 of Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise. I'm so glad you tuned in. I'm so glad that you came back to take a listen. How was your week? I mean, we've had some interesting things that happened this week, and we're going to talk about some of them. We've got our What's Good in the Hood segment, and I look forward to that so much. You know, last week we had Elliot Hitchcock on, and he was talking about how we can do better with our finances and what we're planning to do with our money today and tomorrow and in the future. And so today we've got in our What's Good in the Hood segment, actually it's a beloved and fantastic and sad story at the same time. Today I wanted to honor a public servant, people who've known, someone who's known and been around in Chicago for a very long time, and that's Reverend Daniel Millett. He's known actually as Father Millett. He's from St. Margaret of Scotland. He's been a staple in the community, I want to say for at least 40 years. He came to St. Margaret of Scotland, Chicago parish, in the mid-1970s. And this is a man who marched with Martin Luther King and just did so many phenomenal things for so many communities. I can speak to what he's done for Black and white communities, since the church was bordered on an area that was kind of changing. So he had a lot of different kind of people within his community that he really touched their lives. And so we're looking forward to talking about Father Millett and the impact that he had on the lives of the students that went to that school, that made him legendary. You all might know about him. Unfortunately, in 2011, he was beaten at his own parish, and just suffered at the hand of violence, as so many have, unfortunately, in Chicago. But this man, before anybody ever laid a hand on him, he was a fighter, literally a fighter, before his claim to fame as this legendary priest in the city. And so he was able to bounce back and still do positive things. And we're going to talk about some of that. So that's going to be in our What's Good in the Hood segment. Talk today on a lighter note with comedian Ron Baker Jr. I mean, this guy is also a legend in his own right. We've been friends for a very long time, and he's been through many different iterations with me, circa 2000 or 2010 till now, and so quite a bit. He's opened up for Comic View and just done so much. And so we're going to talk with Ron Baker Jr. And then we're going to talk about national news with local views. So we want to hear from you, Chicago. I did a lot of talking before. I want to hear from you. Want to hear what your thoughts are about where Chicago is headed, where we're going. Where do you think we should go, and what solutions do you have? So we'll be right back. Looking forward to you. So happy that you have joined us with Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise, and we'll see you in a moment.
Say why you do this to me. I'm growing older and realizing what life is doing. I came from the dirt, I'm straight off the boat. A new style, some new chains so I can boast. A new whip to make sure I move right. Mama, I made it, I swear that shit wasn't gonna be tight. And we might face some problems growing up where I'm from. The 216, your body saying, who want this? She from the sun, I'm from the land with the dirt and the rest of the tub. One of the flashy things for CEOs ain't giving no love. Let me be sure. Skin the color of the savior, going through his adversity. Flash, that's life, crucifixion is hurting me. bring out the worst in me. Not so easy today. Growing up like I am, you learn from the
Hey,
pain.
Chicago, we're back with Chicago Speaks with Lori Lease, and we're at our What's Good in the Hood segment, and I'm just I feel so blessed to have known this man that I'm going to talk to you about. Father Daniel Millett is what he was known as, Reverend Daniel Millett. This is a man who, like I said, he came to Chicago, or came to St. Margaret of Scotland's parish in the mid 1970s, and really had a serious impact. There were so many Catholic schools, of course, in the city of Chicago, but he was a part of a movement to bring that mindset to the Black community. And people look at that in many different ways, but I can tell you personally that it affected me. And while I attend a number of different churches and really subscribe to a non-denominational faith, a lot of what I learned, a lot of my values, a lot of my ethics came from that time at St. Margaret of Scotland. And there's so many different stories. I'm really hoping, that we get people to call in 708-223-8953 to share stories. Yesterday was, just a monumental and sad homegoing. It was more than that. It was many people coming together, students, family members, friends, people from the community coming together to celebrate this man who did so much. I know of specific stories of family members who, really large family members, families who Father Millett was able to help and be an instrument in their lives, almost be a father figure, and help to get this family and many different families, not only through grammar school, not only through high school, but through college, and to see them to productive lives. Tom Dart yesterday delivered the eulogy, and he's known him for so many years as this pastor who was not just at the church, but he was in the community, and he would go to the prisons and speak to the inmates and try to bring a word of hope, a word of encouragement. Because he was a former boxer, it was so important to him to find a way to reach some of the people who may not have gone the route of being able to go to college, or maybe they did go to college, but they needed something else or something additional. And he was able to bring his experience personally, in the ring. And I think he brought that into his life, so he was not just legendary in Chicago. This is a man who made a choice to fight for rights that he didn't have to. As a priest, you're looking to speak to the masses, but he chose a segment of society, an African American actually segment of society, decided, hey, we're going to be inclusive. We're going to have African American, Asians, Latinos come to our school, and we're going to make sure that they receive a quality education. And a lot of that fight that he got from probably in the ring, he carried with him from those days with Martin Luther King, and he carried them further into my life personally. And so, it was wonderful to see that CBS, ABC, DNA, all these radio outlets just celebrated and said thank you to this man who was a pioneer in his own right. So retired in 2009 after being a pastor from 1977, and that was even a little bit of a fight, with the archdiocese and the new priest that came along, because he was so the work that he was doing. So sometimes it's hard to retire. Sometimes it's hard to move into a different phase in life, but he did it with such grace. And people knew him as this forward thinker and forward speaker. And so you knew that he was going to shoot from the hip. But it's okay, though. It was okay because it was just a part of him, just as much as everybody knew Tuffy, his dog, which was a part of him. There were iterations of Tuffy. I think there was 5 Tuffies. If you went to St. Margaret's, you probably knew that. So, I will just miss this great giant in the community, giant, a man with a giant heart. And I was so grateful just to be a part of his homegoing and being able to say goodbye and being able to see so many old friends from grammar school who wanted to celebrate and give tribute to this great man of honor. So we look forward to many different, not just Father Millett, but so many different other pioneers. We talked last week about Chance the Rapper, who, he's becoming a legend in his own right and how he's stepped up to the plate. And these are people who step up to the plate and they don't have to. Chance didn't have to give not 100. I wish it was $100 million. But Chance didn't have to give $1 million a raise. I think now I've heard it's been $2 million that's raised. And people may look at that and say, it's a 23 deficit, but it's been cut down a little bit because of someone who decided, I'm not necessarily trying to be a legend. I'm not necessarily trying to be a pioneer. I'm just trying to do something good in the hood. And that's what we're talking about today in our What's Good in the Hood segment. So thank you for tuning in. We're going to come right back. We're going to bring on comedian Ron Baker Jr., lighten it up a little bit, see where he's been, where he's going, what he's doing. We'll be right back. Listening to Growing Pains. Chicago Speaks with Lori Lease.
Say why you do this to me. I'm growing older and realizing what life is doing. I came from the dirt, I'm straight off the boat. A new style, some new chains so I can boast. A new whip to make sure I move right. Mama, I made it, I swear that your boy gon' be tight. And we might face some problems growing up where I'm from. The 216, get Roddy saying who wants this? He from the sud, I'm from the land with the dirt and the rust of the tub. Wanting to flashy things, but CEOs ain't getting no love. Let me be chill. Skin the color of the savior, going through his adversity. Flash that's lies, crucifixion is hurting me. Bring out the worst in me, not so easy today. Growing up like I am, you learn from your pains.
Hey, Chicago, we're back again. Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise on IntellectualRadio.com. We want to hear from you. Don't forget, 708-223-8953. I've got this fantastic brother right next to me. Known him, oh God, what has it been, like 10 years?
At least.
It's been, at least 10 years.
Lori, you're like the Lou Palmer of today. You're the female Lou Palmer.
I'm the female Lou Palmer.
Chicago Speaks. Listen to the sound of the drums. Does anybody remember Lou Palmer? Anybody? Anybody remember Lou Palmer? Listen to the sound of the drum. It would be drums playing.
But we need somebody in the corner, like,
Be a sound effect for drums.
Kicking a beat.
It was WVON when VON stood for Voice of the Negro.
Oh wow!
A lot of people didn't know that.
I did not know that.
I think it's Voice of the Nation. It was Voice of the Negro.
See, we need some history here.
Yes.
Yeah, we need some history. Well, I'm glad that you're
Lou Palmer
here.
Calling now.
I know, right? He's on
From
the
phone.
grave,
right?
No, he's coming
They
back.
brought me up.
He's coming back. Well, Ron, I'm glad that you're here. I know Chicago knows Ron Baker Jr., but we're going to talk a little bit about Ron Baker Jr., where he's been. And, I'm so proud to call him friend. Oh, I have a call. Oh, wait, hold on.
Hit that button. There's a lot of buttons.
There's a lot of buttons. On.
Caller, you on the air. You say what?
Hi. My name is Vince Atlas. I knew Father Dan Millett very well.
Hey, Vince, how are you?
I'm fine, Lori. How are you doing?
I am doing great. We just saw you yesterday. I'm glad you called in.
Well, thank you.
We were trying to get you a little bit earlier, but we're gonna make this work anyway.
Okay.
So,
I'm so sorry. I'm attending church right now. And
okay.
Just happened to glance down and saw the telephone number.
Well, listen, can you tell us a quick story about Father Millett?
Oh wow, I have so many, but my most favorite story about Father Millett. 1984, I was 21, and my father died of a massive heart attack in his sleep. So just imagine the family at an emergency room. We got notified that the great patriarch of our family, my father, had passed away. Who to turn to for any kind of guidance? I didn't even know the first question to ask any of the doctors or anything. So I reached out to my parish pastor, Father Millett, and told him that Dad had just died. He was 51. It was very sudden. And he would be right there. And it seemed like before I could hang up the phone, he was coming through those glass doors at Little Company of Mary Hospital. Listen, that entire week, he just nurtured us and guided us during a very, very, very stressful time. And that's the kind of guy he was. Yesterday, I heard a story where Father Millett got out of his bed at 3 o'clock in the morning 9 times to rehab.
Wow.
Just an awesome guy, just an awesome individual who believed in people, believed in the best in people, loved all people. Just a tremendous fellow.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many stories. You know, when I walked into St. Margaret of Scotland, I started thinking about how many lives Father Millett really touched. You know, he married my parents and married me. So, I mean, it's just amazing, you know, the fact that he's had on so many people's lives. But I think more particular lives of people and stories like yours, where it wasn't just some kind of general impact, it was a personal impact, where he made a difference in your life and the passing of your father, and how fantastic was it to have someone to lean on. Very difficult time. And you know, I know that there were stories after stories after stories, and I think about so many people from St. Margaret of Scotland, you know, who have really made a difference and made a name for themselves coming out of St. Margaret of Scotland. You know, our program director, Wanda Davis here, came from St. Margaret of Scotland. You know, there's Leon Rogers, another comedian, claim to fame, went to St. Margaret of Scotland. You know, and who gave the eulogy, who was Sheriff Dart, you know, who was a lifelong friend, and Father Millett was a mentor to him. And I love that he was a mentor to blacks, mentor to whites, mentor to everybody. There was no race with him. Except the race.
Just saw people.
Yes, that we put before ourselves. And so I'm so glad we're able to call in and just share just a little bit. And I know that we have moved on to a new segment, but I wanted to hear your words just for a few minutes, because I know of the personal impact he had on your life and my life and the lives of everybody at St. Margaret's. And I thank you so much.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem.
All right.
All right.
Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
You take care. Happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter to you too. So we're going to take a quick break and come right on back with Ron Baker Jr. and share some stories with him as well. Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise, IntellectualRadio.com.
say why you do this to me. I'm growing older and realizing what life is doing. I came from the dirt, I'm straight off the boat. A new style, some new chains so I can boast. A new whip to make sure I move right. Mama, I made it, I swear that your boy gon' be tight. And we might face some problems growing up where I'm from. The 216, get Roddy saying, who wants this? He from the sud, I'm from the land with the dirt and the rust in the tub. Wanting to flashy things, but CEOs ain't giving no love. Let me be chill. Skin the color of the savior, going through his adversity. Slash, that's lies, crucifixion is hurting me. Bring out the worst in me, not so easy today. Growing up like I am, you learn from your pains.
All right, we are back with comedian Ron Baker Jr.
Yes.
Yes, and so I just want to tell you a little bit about this brother. And I know if you're from Chicago, you know him. Actually, I know why. So you might have seen him on BET Comic View. You might have seen him on Comedy Central. You might have seen his cameos, which I call him every time it happens, on Empire.
Chicago PD.
I'm so sorry.
Chicago Fire.
Wait. Chicago. Keep it going.
The crossover season.
Okay. All right.
With Chicago Med.
Okay.
Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, and now Chicago Justice. What? I got one scene coming up with Action Jackson, I call him. Apollo Creed.
Oh, wow.
But I'm in the scene with well, I'm forgetting his real name right now.
Oh, what is his name?
What is his Apollo Creed's real name?
Ooh,
I just went blank. Just like that's terrible. I'm calling all of his character names.
We know what you're talking about,
right.
though. Okay, all right. So you've got Chicago.
Carl Weathers is his name.
Right.
Yes. Carl Weathers. Right. Yes. Most interesting looking man. They should get him to do those beer commercials. But
the most interesting looking man in the world.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not feeling the new interesting looking man in the world. Have you seen the?
I have seen him. They got a younger guy. He's not gray.
He's not gray.
They needed somebody to get more mileage out of.
Right.
Because the most interesting man was like, listen, these commercials are getting dangerous. I'm getting older. My bones are cracking.
AARP is calling.
Right. Yeah. He was doing his own stunts. He was like, listen, him $1 million a year.
Oh, wow.
$1 million a year. And the agent who got him that commercial, he didn't pay the agent. So he owes the agent like all this back money. Another piece of useless information that I know.
That's okay.
I am full of useless information. But yeah, he owes his agent quite a bit of money. But $1 million a year for doing the Dos Equis commercial.
I think you should do it. I think you should be next.
Sure. I'll do like the Old English commercial. The most interesting Negro in Roseland.
How was that go in Roseland?
Right.
Yes.
The most interesting man on the South Side.
Wow. And
OE.
Well, that's
a beer for a real nigga.
Well, that's where you started.
Can
right?
I say that? I'm on it.
Yeah, you. I don't
this
know
is free radio.
I
can say whatever I want to say. Can
not necessarily. You know what?
Are we gonna be fined by the FCC?
I meant to do the debrief ahead of time, but we didn't have a chance.
So I can't. That's okay. This is internet radio.
This is internet radio, but remember, you had the reputation of what is it?
Being a clean comedian.
The clean comedian.
I can be clean.
I know you can.
Yes, Bill Cosby was clean too.
We're not gonna get started
on the surface, but beneath that pudding pop,
it's a little something different.
Yeah, you gonna take this Coke?
Oh, okay.
What's the telephone number to call in? Give them the number. Let's see who's listening.
So, and what?
No, for real, give them the number. I want to know who's listening.
708-223-8953.
Say it slower, because Black people got to hear you twice.
Right, 708. I'm gonna do it the radio.
Yeah, say it in the sexy voice.
223-8953. We want you to call in. Chicago Speaks.
You sound like the church announcement lady.
I'm gonna be passing the plate.
You're now tuned into the live religious broadcast of the Intellectual Radio Hour.
Oh yeah.
We want you to call in. The telephone number is 708-999-999. Now watch, they'll hear that number.
Yes.
And be calling that one. But yes. But yeah, if there's a call.
Okay, so so here, let me just tell you a little bit about the radio show. We talk about local issues. Mm-hmm. We talk about national issues. And our next segment, we're actually talking about what's happened with Maxine Waters and Bill O'Reilly. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yes, Bill O'Reilly said something about her wig. He said all I can do is see a wig.
Yeah.
And kind of disrespect it.
Yeah.
her legacy. And I think he has since recanted.
He has.
But he said apologize. He said it was a dumb statement, and he wants to move on because that's what Bill O'Reilly does.
Do you think he can come back from that? Actually, it looks
Bill
like
O'Reilly can come back from anything.
On Fox, they're already talking
Bill
about
O'Reilly
renewing his
relevant.
contract.
He's relevant. Maxine Waters is not always as relevant.
I would disagree with you on that. And I'll speak to that a little bit more in the next segment.
I mean, she may be relevant. She more than likely is very relevant, and she has history. But Bill O'Reilly is just an in-your-face. I mean, he's on top of everything. So she doesn't have the same weight or power that Bill O'Reilly does.
Oh, I see it differently. But hey, so with this whole
representative.
Right, exactly.
Representative
Maxine Waters, she's been around. I didn't realize she was born in the
18.
No.
18.
She was born in the late 30s. I mean, she's
1899.
When we talk about pioneers, when we were talking about pioneers before, she really has blazed the trail. So she's been around for a long time.
She's fought a good fight.
She's fought a good fight.
She's ran a good race.
She's ran a good race.
Come on, good and faithful servant.
That's right.
Well done.
That's right.
Now, if you're going to snap at Bill O'Reilly, you better have some snapping.
Right. Well, she has some snap. What did you think about her comeback?
What did she say?
Well, what she said was, listen, I'm a strong Black woman. I'm going to be here. I mean, it's proven that she is going to be
that was equivalent to Nicki Minaj's comeback to Remy Ma.
Ooh.
Hello, are we there? Anybody there?
The mic is on.
Give him the telephone number again. Give him
708-223-8953. And this is what it's about, Chicago.
You don't have any real power anymore. You don't have any real... if you come at Bill O'Reilly, you got to come at him. I mean, okay, I'm a strong Black woman. Next.
Okay. Well,
because we was all looking at that wig. It's been all kind of memes with that wig.
Oh my goodness.
Matter of fact, I couldn't do nothing but focus on the wig after he said it.
Oh my!
And I know she wears a wig.
Really?
She looks like Isabel Joseph Johnson every time I see her.
Oh my gosh.
Isabel Joseph. Anybody?
Anybody?
Isabel
anybody
Joseph Johnson. When she was straightening the wig out on the air.
Oh wow. Oh, maybe I do remember.
Yeah, Bill O'Reilly is tough.
He is a tough.
So you can't be soft when you're going back at him.
Right. He's a tough cookie. He's a tough character. I'm sure that there's plenty of things that she could have said as a comeback.
She didn't have no juice in her for that.
Proud of her for her comeback.
Have you heard Nicki Minaj's comeback?
I've heard about this comeback. I've heard about the Nicki Minaj.
It was not a comeback.
Yeah. Well,
come on, LL Cool J. Want to call it a comeback?
Been here for years.
Yeah, been here for years. That's her that comeback. Did you get that? LL Cool J.
Okay, so what about what's going on with
going back to Cali?
Right.
Cali.
What about what's going on with Trump? What do you think about that?
Well, Trump gets much media coverage. I think too much media coverage. Trump is Trump. Trump has always been Trump, and Trump will continue to be Trump. I feel that he has taken a approach. He seems a little bit more calmed down, like the little boy that's been told to go in timeout.
Oh wow!
Since his loss with the Health Care Act, tweeting was successful for him. Why would he stop doing it? Donald Trump is the kind of guy, if it works, I'm going to keep doing it. Here's the thing with Donald Trump. I don't find him to be a racist. I find him to be an equal opportunity insulter. He's about being a winner. He's about being a champion. So if you're a winner, he wants you on his team. People who he thought were winners, and they ended up being losers, and they're gone. A bigger version of The Apprentice.
Oh, and I think that's how he views it. I think he views it like
I think he brings them in the office and says, weren't you the program manager?
Right.
You were the program manager. So who do you think should be fired?
Right, exactly.
What do you say? Then he turns to his daughter, Ivanka. What do you have to say? Ivanka be fly.
And then he looks at the Democrats.
He looks at the Democrats.
And goes, you got to go. And you got to go. And you got to go. No.
Yeah, the Donald Trump is, I want my way. And if I can't have my way, I'm going to fire somebody.
Yeah.
He's in a different seat of power versus the seat of power that he was in before. But I respect Donald Trump. Let me tell you why I respect Donald Trump. Ivanka and many people that he's appointed is that I believe now that I can do anything with no experience. I believe
it's proven now, isn't it?
If God tells me, go, you can do it. Listen, I'm going to take him at his word.
Right.
But I don't have no experiences, Lord. It don't matter. I believe Ivanka has an office in the White House.
Yes.
Never held any political office ever.
So anything's possible.
And she walked like she knows what she's talking about. Oh, that walk is so cool. Y'all think you should talk about how Barack would walk. Ivanka is walking
Ivanka's
like
got to walk.
She walked like you know this is good.
Well, she's walking with power.
And authority.
She's walking with power.
But they always have.
And been right.
Yes.
He comes from wealth
They're the
and
Jewish
power.
guy.
You know.
Well, Jews are power.
Okay.
They run everything. Jews and homosexuals run the world.
You think so?
You heard it here from what's the telephone number again?
708. I know we're gonna hear something. 223.
It's always a homosexual listening
8953.
somewhere. I don't have anything against them, but they run the world. They have a movement.
Where do
Their
we?
movement is strong.
Where do we fall? Where do African Americans fall in your eyes?
We fall. That's what we do.
We fall. Oh.
We fall. Black people have a lot of work to do. So if you start with your own household, you get your house right.
Yes.
Get the block right.
Yeah.
You know, get your area right. Get your community right. You get the city right. You get the county right. You get the state right. Black people have to change their mindset. If they change the mentality that they have, I believe we'll begin to move forward. That once we respect ourselves, people will begin to respect us. Keep your house clean. Keep your community clean. Pick up the garbage. You know, respect the community. Don't throw garbage on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when people drive through our neighborhoods, they should be able to go, man, this is a clean neighborhood.
Yeah.
You don't, when you go through Homewood, you don't say, man, this is a clean neighborhood. You expect it to be a clean neighborhood because that's the mentality of the community. So if Black people would begin to change their mentality and respect themselves, respect their property, around looking like we have no respect for ourselves. I see guys with their pants so low, holding them with one hand.
Well, you know, that's not just a Black thing now. I think they've been emulated in different communities as well.
I don't care if the white people do it. I'm concerned about the Black boys that are doing it because they're the ones that can't get jobs.
Yeah.
Because they'll show up to a job interview looking just like that. Black people need to understand the optics of a thing.
Okay.
How does it look this way to someone else? What is the look that I'm giving off? So let's just say if I need to be represented in court and my attorney comes into the courtroom with his pants sagging, I'm going to have a problem with that because I'm going to say, first of all, you don't look like
you're not representing us well.
You're not representing me right.
Yes.
They need to know they're not representing themselves correctly by looking foolish, wearing the hoodie. Well, you can wear a hoodie if you choose to. I don't wear the hoodie, and I'm not going to put the hood over my head because of the optics of it. There's a reason why I wear a sport coat all the time, why I wear a collared shirt all the time, because I want to be perceived a particular type of way, and I want to be perceived that I want to be respected as opposed to being disrespected.
Yeah.
When I go to my kids' school, I put on a navy blue suit, wingtip shoes, and a white shirt.
Perception is power.
Perception is everything.
It's power.
That they will, because they look at me a certain way, they'll look at my kids a certain way. I don't come with sweats on and my hair in braids or wearing a baseball cap. I may have on one now, but I don't go for anything. I don't care if it's to pick them up from the doctor's office. I look like I just got out of a business meeting.
Okay.
Because that's the image I want to portray. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to look the same way, but Black people must take into consideration the optics of a thing. How
Absolutely.
are we being looked at? I'm afraid of certain Black people if I see them looking a certain way.
You don't walk across the street.
Right, and I'm Black. Now, I don't have fear, but if you want to be respected, look respectful.
Okay. So what do you think, Chicago? What do you think about what Ron Baker Jr. is saying? You know, I think everybody's got a different view and a different take on white society, Asian society, our society, all of us together. You know, we have a different take, but you know, what we're looking for is solution-oriented messages. And I think that one solution is pull up your pants, right? Pull up your pants. Pay attention.
Black people don't like answers to their problems. They just like to, I can't cuss on here, can I?
No.
They like to complain and moan and whine. Give them a solution to the problem. We don't want that solution.
Don't want it.
Right. Well, what do you want? Well, something else.
Yeah.
You know, bring the National Guard in. No, don't bring the National Guard in. Well, what do you want?
Yeah. That last week about bringing in the National Guard. And I'm like, wait, you know what? Before we consider bringing in the National Guard? Let's talk about jobs. Let's talk about social services. Let's talk about after-school programs.
We've had all those programs, and we've had them for many years, and they do help. I'm not saying that they don't help, but you must take an aggressive approach to an aggressive attack on our children and our people on these streets. And I'm for aggressively attacking a problem. So I can come in and rectify what's going on. Why not try it? Nothing else is working. Jesse Jackson's things are not working. Flagrant marches every day. It didn't stop the shootings from going up.
Yeah.
We got a new black superintendent. It didn't stop the shootings from going up. You know, he needed a kidney. Come on, let's get somebody in there that I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm grateful for marches. I know that Martin Luther King marched, but here's the thing: there's more to it than just the march. There's economics behind it, because when Martin Luther King marched, looking from the outside, they thought, "Oh, this is a peaceful demonstration." But for the people who are paying attention to the economics, you could not run your business in that city on that day. And so if you are a major business along this street or along the path of where Martin Luther King was marching, you may not even be invested in the fight, but you're going to get invested because you can't do business while this is going on. And so, you know, I think Chicago can do some things. We have social media. We can decide where our money goes and where it doesn't go.
Very true. I would like to see the pressure valve released. And when I say the pressure, some pressure, that valve trying to release some pressure, get rid of these red light cameras.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're not going to get rid of them, lower the price of the tickets. All these red light cameras and speed light cameras in poor communities at $100 a pop.
Yeah.
And black folk don't obey rules anyway. So, you know, if you got 9,
you're so hard on us.
Yeah, we don't obey rules. Rules are for black people because we don't want to obey rules. If you want black people to go left, tell them to go right. If you want them to say, if you wanted to enter here, tell them do not enter.
Okay.
We don't like to be.
You know what it is? Ruled. We don't want to be in chains. That's what it is. There's a difference.
No, it's not true. We don't like rules. We don't like being told what to do. We don't like instructions. Instructions are necessary so you can do the right thing. We don't like instructions. We just want to be and do and be buck wild. I'm black. I've been black all my life. I know black people.
Some of your best friends are black?
Some of my best friends are black. We like to be wild. We like to tear stuff up.
Oh, my.
We like to drive where you says don't drive. No right turn, nigga. I'm turning right. We just want to do it. So now we get these tickets. Well, after 9 tickets, that's $900. You know, some of us don't make $900 in a month.
Yeah.
That's very expensive. If you don't pay them, it doubles. Now it's $1,800.
Yeah.
Something needs to be done about that because we're already in the poorhouse and it's making us poorer because now you're going to take our car, you're going to boot our car. That's another $1,800. Now you got to, if you don't get the boot off the car, they're going to tow it.
Right.
That's another fee.
Right.
Now there's an impound fee.
Right.
Daily.
That's right.
And all this stuff keeps compounding. So we know about compound problems, but we don't know about compound interest.
Right. Oh, speak. He dropped the mic on that one. He dropped the mic.
Compound. They don't know.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. For some people.
What's the number again? I want to hear some callers.
708-223-8953. I'm telling you, for a lot of people, this is just a Chicago problem because in some cases, it feels like, whether it is or not, it feels like extortion because one ticket, one $100 ticket can turn into a $1,000 ticket with all the fees. If you just happen to not have the money to pay for it, but
it basically stems from breaking the rules. So the rule has been established. You must follow the rule. Follow the rules. If it says don't park there, that doesn't mean park there anyway.
Correct.
So you must follow the rules, but still relieve some of this pressure that I believe is helping to add to a lot of the thefts that are going on, a lot of the tension. Relieve the tension in the black community by taxing us over what we're already paying in taxes.
Yeah.
By giving us all these fees. Now we have to pay 7 cents for a bag.
Yeah.
We're poor. So if you want to help us by relieving the pressure and not making things so tense. Even when you're driving in many parts of the city, there's no arrow to turn left. So a lot of tension, driver rage.
Yeah.
Because now you can't make the light because there's no left-hand turn. But in the white communities, they have left-hand turns. So little simple things like that. I want to see pay as much attention to detail and stopping this crime as he is to putting boots on cars, because they walk up and down the street checking every vehicle. Matter of fact, you don't even see the boot man. The boot man is a spirit. You don't see him, but you know he's there.
I believe that.
Because you wake up in the morning, there will be boots all up and down King Drive.
Well, you know,
all up and down State Street.
They go down certain areas.
I'm talking about the South Side, Michigan Avenue, State Street.
Yeah.
You wake up and there are boots everywhere. I've gone in the house and come back out, and in seconds there's been a boot on somebody's skirt. You never see the boot man.
Just a miss.
Just a miss. When does he? It's like a cloud or something.
Yes.
Going down. What was that in the Bible? You got to put blood over your car. So when the boot angel is coming down your way, street,
so you'll be covered. You'll be covered.
Put that blood on your car, over the doorpost of your car. You don't even see him taking the boots off.
You know what? That is, you see them towed probably more so than anything.
Oh, they could tow you in seconds.
Yeah.
So when you put that much attention to detail into putting tickets and boots on people's cars and making sure they have a sticker on their license plate and on the window, when you put that much attention to detail, listen, get a team of people and go to every house and check them for guns. Because it's an epidemic. When something is an epidemic, you have to do some things that might seem a little outrageous. We check in every house for guns.
Yeah. But you know what? We could check every house there is. Mm-hmm. How are they getting here? Stories about
black people don't make guns. Black people don't manufacture guns.
Exactly. And not only that, there's stories about
we don't make bullets.
How these trains are sitting in yards here. Almost kind of like, hey, and suddenly the doors open and people are able to get onto the trains and
people have been robbing
guns.
Trains since the cowboy days. That's nothing new. They've been robbing trains.
That's nothing new. But they're just kind of sitting in Chicago.
Well, that's a lot. That's a lot to guard, but they can't guard it if they want to. Now,
and that's the
listen,
point.
white folks can protect anything they want to protect when they want to protect it. Power to do it. I think if every iPhone has an identification number, so if you steal this phone, it can be identified through another source of where this phone is, or if somebody finds it and plugs it up, a number coming. If you put an identification number on the case of bullets, and somebody has come up with this, but I came up with this a long time ago. Every case of bullets has identification numbers on it.
Okay.
So when they retrieve that bullet goes back to who bought those bullets.
Wow.
So if they can do it with an iPhone, surely they can do it with bullets.
Wow.
Well, most of the bullets is killing Negroes, so it's not that big of a deal.
Mm.
But let them go in the white communities, and all of a sudden, white people are being killed by these bullets. Well, they're going to do something to make sure they can identify where the source is coming. Who bought the bullets?
Yeah. That's a good point.
Does that make any sense?
All right, so we've got some.
I'm preaching better than y'all saying amen.
Right. We got some solutions. You know, our goal is to be solution oriented here. But I'm going to give you like a couple of seconds. I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Wow.
With what I say. Yeah. Black women.
Big booties.
Oh, I'm going to get in so much trouble for that.
It was either that or mouthy.
Oh.
Or it was either that or attitude.
Oh, we're going to get lots of calls. We're going to get lots of calls next week.
Wait a minute. And you know me. What is my number one thing? What is my number one thing? No.
Okay, so.
Big booties. No.
Oh, my goodness. We got to move on to something.
Smart.
I would say so.
Smart and patient.
Rahm Emanuel.
Missing one finger.
I didn't know that.
Tough. Yeah, he is. He's got the little nub, half of his finger. One of his fingers.
No, I didn't know that.
He likes to touch you with it too. Hey, with the nub. But I would say tough.
Tough.
He's a tough piece of leather. With that Laquan McDonald situation and how the city turned, he stood his ground. And he got patient. And when there was the runoff in Chicago with Dr. Willie Wilson, that's how I say it.
Did you really say that?
Dr. Willie Wilson. Ask me and my doctor. Ask me and my doctor.
Oh.
Ask me and my doctor.
Are you a doctor?
I'm is.
Oh, no.
No, that was tough. And I thought he might have resigned. They were calling for his resignation. They almost wanted to see him be hung in the streets. And this guy, I actually like Ramon. He was tough. I like the fact that he's tough and he approaches the city of Chicago with a grit that Chicago is known for. And he didn't back down. He didn't sway. He got a little nervous. He could have lost his seat. So I respect him for standing his ground and being tough. That's a tough little guy.
All right. Okay, we're going to stick with the one word.
Okay. Well, one word. There was a lot of words. I told you Negroes cannot follow instructions. One word. All right, I'll stick to one word.
Okay. Barack Obama. Oh. Okay.
You asked me immediately.
All right. Hillary Clinton.
Tough.
Interesting.
Gangster
even.
Yeah.
Gangster even.
Yeah. Gangstery, but not gangster enough.
Ron Baker Jr.
Wow, I wasn't ready for that. It's too many words to compile it in one word. Complex.
I would say so. Listen, Chicago, we're so happy that Ron Baker graced.
I was going to say big booties.
Oh, gosh. When in doubt. Let me start off by saying the views expressed today how does that go?
Right. The views and opinions that are expressed are not necessarily the views and opinions of Intellectual
Radio.com. All right.
All those things that have been said.
We're going to need that disclaimer going forward. We're going to need that.
Well, when I was on V103, they played that disclaimer before every radio show.
Ooh.
And they would drop it again, but they played it before every radio show that the views and opinions expressed by Ron Baker Jr. are not necessarily views of V103 nor its subsidiaries or subscribers.
I love it.
You know, be clear, because I will say some stuff.
I know, but listen, everybody's got a different opinion. Everybody's got a right to their voice. I'm glad that you were here to share your voice and share your opinion and share some positive.
Opinions are like buttholes and belly buttons. Everybody has one.
Everybody has one. So thank you for coming on.
At least one of them need to be used.
Oh my gosh. It just keeps going.
Hey, you brought me on here. That's what you get.
I know. Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise, IntellectualRadio.com. We thank Ron Baker Jr. for gracing the mic.
Thank you, Lori.
We'll be right back.
Say why you do this to me. I'm growing older and realizing what life is doing. I came from the dirt, I'm straight off the boat. A new style, some new chains so I can boast. A new whip to make sure I move right. Mama, I made it, I swear that your boy gon' be tight. And we might face some problems growing up where I'm from. The 216, get Roddy saying, who want this? He from the sud, I'm from the land with the dirt and the rust of the tub. Wanting the flashy things with CEOs and giving no love. Let me be chill. Skin the color of the savior, going through his adversity. Slash, that's life. Crucifixion is hurting me. Bring out the worst in me. Not so easy today. Growing up like I am, you learn from your pains. Yeah. Pain is a for my art, and I'm using my art to write this. I'm talking pencil in hand till it cramps like it's hard to write this. Who would have thought I would fight this? Feeling saying I'm nothing. Break away into pieces, till pieces gonna be coming.
I can feel your pain seizing out your soul. So let it go.
So that was Ron Baker Jr. in the house. Mercy. I said I'm shocked. I'm shocked that our lines aren't blowing up, but you know, we really are looking forward to hearing from you, Chicago, on IntellectualRadio.com, 708-223-8953. Woo! You know, I love Ron. I love the fact, I love different opinions, you know, because, you know, if we all think the exact same way, you know, what variety would there be? What diversity would there be? And so, you know, while he shared the opinions aren't necessarily that the opinions that he shared aren't necessarily the opinions of IntellectualRadio.com or Lori Elise. I'm glad that he was here. I'm glad he lent some humor. And then anybody who comes on, they've got to be solution oriented. He's like, listen, pull up your pants. Pull up your pants. We've got to be vigilant. We've got to make sure that we're looking a certain way, and not just. And I don't think that's something that's just a black thing. I think that's all of us, because perception is power. How we're viewed, you know, goes a long way. But I do think it might be a little bit tougher for the American community or even some other minorities as well, because sometimes we're judged right out the gate, you know. And so because you know that going into some situations, you want to be prepared and looking your best and being your best and being prepared. So one of the people that we talked about that, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't kind of come back on and speak about this is, you know, Miss Maxine Waters. And while we had a comedic segment, you know, with Ron Baker Jr., you know, I want to talk about who she is and who she was, you know. So he has been in office for a very long time. She started off as she's now the current U.S. Representative for California's 43rd Congressional District. Previously, she in the 29th District. She's a part of the Democratic Party. She's the most senior of the 12 Black women currently serving in U.S. Congress. She's a member and former chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Was elected to the California Assembly in 1976. You know, and when I think about someone who's elected, this isn't, you know, a job interview where you're, you know, maybe meeting with 2 or 3 different people. You had to have a segment of the population who say, we want you to represent us. And so I think that makes her very relevant. Very relevant. I would dare say more relevant than Bill O'Reilly. Anybody can step to the mic and say something funny. They put me in the corner sometimes, you know, and had me do a little song and dance. And, you know, I was the entertainment for a while. So we could all be funny. Everybody. Some of us are paid to be. But, you know, what I respect about Maxine Waters is she decided she was going to make a difference. You know, and she's been making a difference for a very long time. And we have to be really careful. Because I'm Black, I'm going to speak from a Black perspective, but I also want to put it out there that I want to make sure that no women are marginalized. I don't care what race you are. We don't want to be marginalized. We want to be respected and known for the works that we do. And Miss Waters, you know, relevant for quite some time. You know, years ago, she was very instrumental in being an advocate for divestment from South Africa's apartheid, and she was an outspoken opponent. I mean, that's just fact. She was chief deputy to the city councilman early in her career. You know, she was very instrumental after the Rodney King riots. I mean, everybody knows about that, and what a tumultuous time in our history. And she was instrumental in making sure that certain necessary needs and reserves were there for people in that community whose neighborhoods were burned down. And she was outspoken and letting people know that, hey, there's a reason why this happened. It's not just a bunch of people burning a community for no reason. And I'm not saying that any community should be burned down to the ground, but she was trying to bring light to that frustration, what was behind that anger. One thing that I really don't know if everybody knows about this particular story, but she brought light to the crack epidemic in the 1980s. She bring light to it. There was a story that was done in the news, in the San Jose Mercury News, about the crack epidemic that was happening in Chicago. I mean, I'm not in Chicago, but just in our nation in general. And not only that, this news outlet reported the United States, possibly the United States, but CIA was possibly responsible for some of those drugs coming to the States. And I mean, that was what a challenging article, I'm sure. Maxine Waters did some investigation. After her investigating, or asking Congress to do some investigating, after that investigation, it was found to be not enough information to do anything with. But that reporter who shared that story, they found him later with 2 gunshots to his head, and then they ruled it a suicide. How do you kill yourself twice? Who shoots themselves in the head twice? How did that happen? And so there's some ugly truths that happen, in America, that might get swept under the rug. But what I appreciate about Maxine Waters is she's not afraid of controversy. Her response to Bill O'Reilly was, "I am a strong Black woman," and I think that was an outstanding response. I may need to restate the obvious for you. Maybe you've missed it, but I've been here a while. And I'm going to be here a little while longer. And while I'm here, you're going to know I'm in the room. And so I'm so grateful, Maxine Waters. I'm so grateful for someone's shoes to do. And, when Ron Baker was here, I was asking him, I'd mention a few people's names and try to get his thoughts on them. And one of the people I mentioned was Oprah Winfrey. And I'm focused on that because I'm always focused on the positive. And one of the things that he said about her was, he said, when I hear her name, I think strong. And so I'm so happy that we have strong mentors, someone who paved the way to get us here. I think we've got a caller. Come on now. Hold on. I feel like Oprah now. Caller, you say what? Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Dwayne. I'm calling from Chicago, South Side.
Oh, Dwayne, how are you?
I'm doing well. I know I'm calling in late for the show. I was driving and I didn't want to talk because I was enjoying so much of the show. So far these past 2 weeks, I just really want to congratulate you on the fine job you're doing.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. You're bringing a lot of the facts to people who really need to know the facts. Sometimes they may see some things on the news, but you've educated me to a lot of the backstory, things that are going on too.
Well, that's fantastic. And that's what we're trying to do. We're really trying to, we want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts on, some of the subjects that we're talking about, some of the things that are affecting Chicago, some of the things that are affecting you personally, legislation that affects you personally. So one, I just want to thank you so much, one, for calling in, but two, for, just being a part of the process. It's a blessing to us.
Definitely have to try, Lori Elise. Something that you kind of touched me. My wife, I'm not going to say who she is because I don't know if she wants to be put out there on the radio, but she went to St. Mary of Scotland. And I didn't know Father Manette personally. I went to another Catholic parish, but I do believe, and every word that you say about him being such a great man because
Yes.
of the values that my wife has and has shown me. She's a great woman, and to be under the auspices of in his direction, I'm just glad that you showed some honor to him as well too.
Oh, well, wonderful. Thank you. And I'm sure your wife thanks you so much. Father Millett was truly a great man, Reverend Millett, as some would say, and really made a difference. And that's what we're trying to do here with this show. Is we're trying to make a difference. We're trying to not only speak but get Chicago to think, what can we do? How can we change? Where are we going? We can move collectively. We don't have to just move in certain segments. We can work as one. And even though we may talk a little bit more about some Black issues because it relates to our community, because I happen to be a part of the community, we want to talk about everybody's issues. We want to talk about people like Father Millett, who was not Black, but stood up for Blacks and whites and everyone, prisoners, people from many different backgrounds, the gap for these different people, including myself. And I'm so grateful for him. And I'm grateful for so many different views. And I'm grateful for you, just calling in to speak your mind. It's so appreciative. Or we're so appreciative for you.
Not a problem at all. And God bless you, your show, and Intellectual Radio, the venue that.
Thank you so much, Chicago. I think we're going to have to wrap it up, but we thank you for tuning in for a second week of Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise on IntellectualRadio.com. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Hey.